This is Val Hart, the real Dr. Doolittle, and today I'm talking with Billie Dean. She is an innate interspecies telepath who, after 30 years of communing professionally with animals, is now bringing their urgent messages to the world through her not-for-profit, the Billie Dean International Deep Peace Organization. Billie is trained as a journalist, a filmmaker, and an actress, and she's even worked as a stand-up comic, believing strongly in the healing power of humor. She's also a holistic health practitioner and is active in promoting animal rights and welfare. Billie began her working life as a photojournalist. She's written for television and is the author of several children's books. That's so cool. As well as The Secret Animal Business, which is a book about her work as an animal shaman. She's made 3 independent films, all with an eye to educate through uplifting and inspiring entertainment. She even won a Best Actress for her feature film Finding Joy, which launched the Spiritual Cinema Circle in 2004. Billie is also trained as a druid. She is a shamanic practitioner in the Incan tradition. She runs the Animal Forever Home, a place of peace where over 40 rescued horses run free. And she now teaches the new shamanism through her online school, Rainbow Fiana, bringing back a code of ethics and an understanding of the world of telepathy, respect, and the unseen, which the animals need us to understand today. Welcome, Billie. I'm so glad you're part of the show.
Thank you so much, Val. It's such an honor to be on it.
Well, and, good morning to you because you're in Australia. And I know it's like 2:30 in the morning for you, so thank you so much for getting up to talk to me.
I'm here surrounded by lots of dogs and cats as well.
Excellent.
Going, why are we awake?
Really? What are we doing now, Mom?
I'm going out for a run.
Exactly. What are we doing? I'm confused. So, Billie, how did you start your career with animals? How did you get involved in all this?
Well, I was innate, so it was, I was very empathetic as a young child, very sensitive, and I felt the pain of the animals and also the plants and the trees. And my folks thought that I was far too sensitive, and that's sort of the cash cry that I grew up with. And I'm sure that some of your listeners had that as well. You're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. But I'd be doing things like riding with the stockman when I was 10, and I could feel as soon as I looked at the horses and their mouths were bleeding. When we were mustering horses one day, and I'd say to them, your horses' mouths are bleeding, and they'd go, oh, yeah, mate, don't worry about it. And I'd be going, well, I am worried about it, and it hurts them. Yeah. And so it gave me, even at that young age, it just made me want to speak out because I could tell that it was really hurting because it was hurting me.
Yes.
And not only that, I had to spend time on cattle farms where they would be branding and dehorning, and the cattle were screaming.
Yes.
But they were screaming out loud.
Yes.
So it didn't take much to tell them that it was hurting.
Yeah.
But nobody else seemed to worry about it. So I became an animal rights activist right there and then through this. And then even though I was a journalist and everything else as I grew, when I left school, I was always communing with the animals. And particularly my horse Ollie, who would send me pictures as we rode. But nobody else, there was nobody in those days doing this work.
No.
And so it wasn't until I read Kinship with All Life.
I love that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the one who said, J. Allen Boone said this is a communication, and I went, oh, it's a communication. That's what you call it.
Oh, that's what it is. I had no idea. I was just...
and Val, I'm sure you experienced this too, but it was just, part of it's part of you.
Yes.
And, I was always communing with my own animals, and I had that deep respect for them.
Yes.
And I think that it wasn't until I was about to go on television with my husband as a comedian that Spirit stepped in and gave me what I call a shamanic initiation into stillness.
Wow, okay.
A bit of a whack over the head.
Oh. And, I call that the cosmic 2x4.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That is the brick. Yeah, the brick.
And, yeah,
beware the brick. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So you were. Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, just came through loud and clear and said you have to talk to other people's animals.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the entertainment industry, and I thought, no way. Oh, people will think I'm crazy.
Well, that might go along with your entertainment.
That's it.
You could do some wonderful comedic sticks on animals, right? Sharing their messages.
Well, interesting you say that, because that's what we're coming back to.
Cool. Okay, go. Go ahead.
But yeah, so it's been a long journey, and the animals, other people's animals, and also my own have just taught me, taken me on an incredible journey and taught me so much, and that's really the messages that I want to get out to the world today, because we need to change. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Thank you for carrying that message and doing it so brilliantly well. With such a clear and pure heart and spirit, and such clarity. I know you do a lot of work in this regard, so we're going to hear a lot more about that. And by the way, everyone listening, Billie's website, if you would like to go there if you're online, she has two. BillieDean.com. It's BillieDean.com. And there's also WildPureHeart.com, which is just wonderful. Wild, W-I-L-D, Pure, P-U-R-E, Heart, H-E-A-R-T.com. Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you, Billie, but I did want to get that out in case people would like to go check out your sites. And I know you are at this point considered the mother of animal communication in Australia, which is such an awesome thing to be. So what else have you learned, or what else would you like to share with us today about that?
Well, I think that it's important for people to understand that just because they're psychic, it doesn't mean to say that they're a trained animal communicator. This is something that I've come across a lot. There's more and more animal communicators popping up. Like I said earlier, when I started, I couldn't find anybody doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me either.
And then suddenly, now there's I don't even know what to call it. I would say to people, well, I think I can help you. And because I also had a background in natural therapies and understood, how healing worked, I think those two things, animal communication is a healing in itself, but there's also part of it. So I use words like sorcery, which really shock people. Because there is, for me, the animals have been abused long enough, and when people are misusing their ability to communicate, or sort of without a lot of training and background and understanding of the full picture of what the animal is going through, then then harm can be done. And I've seen that quite a lot, and it's actually quite a concern. So that's why I started my school, Rainbow Fiona, and I've made it now online, and so that people can study. And it's not just animal communication. That's only a small part of it. It really goes into ethics and what I call the new shamanism, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, one of the stories that I like to tell my students is a story, and you'll appreciate this because I noticed that you had an article on entities in your last e-zine.
Thank you, yeah. Oh, good, I can't wait to hear it, okay.
Yeah, I was thrilled to see that. And it's one of the reasons I found that animals can get, they do stare off into the distance, and they start watching because these things are all around us, and it will change their behavior sometimes. And the other thing about it is that quite often we leave a trail of energy behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've shown me sometimes is when somebody's been angry in the house, there'll be a sort of etheric figure of that violence left behind.
Mm.
And I've had many animals, be frightened of that.
Yeah.
And I had one client who was the dog was running away all the time, and so I asked the dog why, and she showed me the dense energy in the living room. Mm-hmm. And now this client hadn't told me that her partner had been very violent, and but not only had this, and I asked her to clear and with her, we cleared the living room, but the dog was still running away. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out that this poor dog had been dragged and beaten. Mm-hmm. And I think the client was in a bit of denial because, oh yes, that's right, she has been.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it.
Now that you mention it, oh yes.
Oh crap. Crap, that's horrible.
I know. But what was terrible was that she went to an animal communicator in between our sessions, who she came across, and wrote me this panicky email saying, an animal communicator has just told me that I need to take my dog to this really expensive training because she's behaving badly. And, what do you think? And I thought, my goodness, you try to send her to some rigid training school when she's absolutely traumatized by domestic violence. Mm-hmm. This is not the right thing to do at all. And this is what I mean by people, not having enough training or not really have enough understanding of the animal condition, because as far as I'm concerned, there's actually no bad animals, there's no bad behavior, it's just a communication.
Yes.
And that's something, if you're skilled, you can listen and you can help unravel the problems, as you know.
Yes. Yes. Oh, my goodness. That kind of breaks my heart. It's like you have an animal that's, like you said, been very traumatized. There's a reason why the dog is trying to run away from home. Just like children, why do they run away from home? And then not to understand that and bring comfort and healing is just, to me, tragic. Yeah, I'm so glad you were there to help.
I was very glad I had that one as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. And there's been others. There was one. The woman said to me, "I hate animal communicators, and I'm not going to tell you anything. And here's my dog." Mm-hmm. But the heard, Val, was, "I don't want to die." That was the first thing this dog told me. And I could tell that this dog was on chemo, and I just opened up and saw, the husband crying every time he took the dogs for a walk, and it was quite poignant.
Yeah.
And And then the client then told me, thank you, you've really helped us, and the last animal communicator told us that our dog would be dead in 4 months.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And so we got the dog off chemo, but I think it was still too late, but it just felt very, very toxic, and there was other things that you can do to support the animal through that. But, we gave a massive healing just in that, and I think it's, quite unethical for someone to say, in 4 months this person will be dead. I mean, that's as bad as the medical profession.
Well, yeah, maybe they have a medical profession background, which is, again, unconscionable, when you really look at it. On the other hand, I mean, these kind of situations, I mean, none of us get out of here alive.
No.
To me, it's, so we make peace with what's so. And there are miracles that happen every day, and we can't tell. I never try to predict the future. We don't know what will happen. And in fact, you probably had this experience many times as well as I, but, a lot of times a client will bring an animal to me that's literally on death's door, and we work with them, and their person is in denial, or they're in trauma or shock, or they're not dealing well with this. And as soon as we work with the person to help them accept what's going on, make peace with it, begin to work through what's come up for them, the pain of what's coming up for them, then the animal will pop back. They're like, well, all I really wanted was to give this gift to my human, to let them know that they don't need to be terrified of death. That my ending will come, and my human is in such trauma about it that he needs help. And once they get the help that they need, they finally, it's like the catalyst for them to ask for help. And once they get once they're heard, they get to share that pain and with someone who understands. Then the animal's like, okay, my job is done. I'm going to go on and live the rest of my happy life. And they pop back, and they're fine. But it's like the whole point of the exercise was to get their person to have some help, because they were in such a traumatic, state about the latter part of their animal's life and their pending passing. So, it's happened more times than I can count, Billie. It's so amazing. It's just our animals serve us in so many remarkable ways. And that is just one of their gifts, is to help us understand that life does, in fact, continue even after the body quits. And for us to make peace with it and see the bigger picture and, connect with the circle of life in a more, a healthier, more balanced way. So do you find that to be true in your work?
Oh, look, absolutely. I had a client just recently whose horse had a terrible bone infection. And she rang me, a lot of my clients ring me sort of saying the vet's telling me to put the animal down, and what do you think? And I'm going, no. Animals, no.
Got it.
And anyway, so we worked with the horse naturally, and the horse, nothing was sort of really happening, but the situation wasn't getting worse. And then she rang me excitedly and said, yesterday, this is after 3 months, the horse is still alive.
Awesome.
And still fine.
Yeah.
And she said, I lost my job. And I had a fight with my family, and I made the decision that I would become an animal naturopath.
Excellent. Woo, wow.
That's it.
What a catalyst, yes.
And the very next day, the mare went for a gallop.
Oh, wow. Woo, that's awesome.
And split opened the wound, and pus started pouring out. And the vet said, whatever you're doing, it's fantastic. This is the best thing that could have happened. And the mare is now, healing beautifully.
Yes.
and she and I both knew, that it was all about her reaching that decision to getting onto the right track.
Yes.
What a gift.
What an incredible gift. Oh, my God. That's amazing. All right, so Billie, let's talk about animal shamanism. So can you define it first so that we're clear about the term? And then let's talk about the new shamanism. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a shaman in my terms is somebody who heals with, for example, a guide. Michael Hana, who is sort of the father of Western shamanism, he says that people who communicate with animals are a shaman.
Okay. Well, we would have to be, wouldn't we?
Yeah. And it's that ability to understand that everything is alive and everything has a voice. And,
yes.
When I was 8, I was picking up stones and communicating with them and listening to them. And, my earliest friends were the trees and,
yes.
As well as my dogs. And,
yes.
I could always communicate just on that level of feeling pain and standing up for them too when other people were hurting them,
yeah.
Because I could feel their pain. Yeah. So for me, the shamanic path sort of started there, and then I came across people who were healing in the same way. I called, I work with a guide. Healing spirit guide, and I called him out of retirement.
Uh-huh.
And that is also part of what the shaman in the tribe would do. They would work with the divine and be that bridge for the people. And so that's what I see my work as. I work with the divine and with beings on the other side, and we bring about healing.
Wow.
So all those sorts of things. So for me, the shaman was also, like the druid, I suppose, somebody that people went to for advice and healing, and they had a respected place in the tribe. And then, we had the Inquisition and everything, and suddenly they weren't.
Yeah.
But basically a shaman is a healer, and I think that's where that comes in. But the new shamanism is something. The shamanic work has become very, very popular, and it's energy work, which is beautiful, and we work, through just that world of energy with the luminous energy field that's around our bodies and around the animals' bodies, and you can do it at a distance, and you can do all kinds of things, and understanding in depth exactly the power of the word and all these things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there who are calling themselves shamanic practitioners, and they haven't been terribly well trained. Again. Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, they're not very animal-centric. And I think being an animal telepath, for me, has given me a different perspective on the world, and because I'm so concerned about animal rights and having them represented in a new way, I began to devise the new shamanism, where we don't, we walk a vegan path because the animals really don't want to be eaten.
Okay.
And so we've just put in a huge order for a whole lot of fiber skin drums. Because you have shamans sort of there with their wearing their skins and their their feathers and their this and their that, and it's actually we're trying to change now, and we want to evolve past all the old days where people made the excuse that, well, you know, in the old days the shaman would call the spirit of the animal who wanted to cross over, and then they would be killed for the sake of the tribe, and it was all very respectful. Well, it's not respectful anymore.
Right.
It's actually the animals are killed in horrendous ways, with a lot of fear, and any shaman who tells me that they eat meat because they're taking on the energy of the animal, which is what I hear a lot of.
Right. God help them, because that kind of energy isn't very, very happy.
No, it's not. And and I think that they're mistaken greatly.
Yes. Yes.
And even people who say, oh, I'm going to kill the animal myself, well, it's perpetuating that myth that killing is okay. And I don't believe that it is, if we want to have a world of peace.
Okay.
And I think that when we expand that circle out to include the animals, then we're really coming into a world of compassion, which we really need to have right now. The old way of working doesn't work anymore. So for me, the new shamanism is, if you want to journey, which is a very shamanic thing to do, we journey with the drum beat or the rattle, then get a fiber skin one. They're better anyway, because they don't go flat.
Yeah, there you go. We have different materials now that the olden, the people before us, I guess, did not have access to. So.
Well, that's it, Val. I say to people, things have changed now. We don't need to be wearing, leather, and we don't need to be dependent on the animals for their sacrifice, really.
Yeah.
We, really can be exceptionally healthy without them, and we can be clothed without them, and we can do everything, and it's the times have changed.
Yes.
And we're not in survival mode anymore.
Yeah.
Many people think they are, but we can make different choices. And so this is what the new shamanism is about. It's really about, okay, make that break from the past. We don't need to be in the same old groove. We can make a new track. And let's take that track into a world of compassion and peace for all species.
I love that. Thank you, Billie.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So tell us about your refuge for animals and the wild horses.
That's part of my work in being an animal communicator, is that I often hear calls for help, and some of those animals want to be with me for whatever reason that is.
Yes. And
they'll tell me. And I started to get quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's been an interesting journey. And so I began to take on a lot of dogs and cats, and then I started taking on the horses. And I had to move to the place that we have now. So we're on 348 acres now, and we need to expand out even more. But we've decided that this lot here will be our home. We've got over 40 horses here at the moment.
Wow.
And we've done that. We've done that all ourselves, and now we started taking on the wild horses and providing a home for them where they can, instead of being. I know that you have a problem with people culling and killing over in the States as well, the wild horses, and we have the same thing happening here out of the national parks. They just want to shoot them all down from helicopters, which is quite awful.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, it's dreadful. And so we made a stand this year, and we said, well, we'll take a family. I had a speaking to me, and he wanted us to help him. So I said, all right, well, I'll take you and your family. I'll go with it. And the truck arrived, and they just kept coming out.
I was going to say, you might want to have qualified that a little bit. Yeah. Woo. Okay.
So I think we've got 18 now.
18 wild horses?
Well, there's over 25 here. We've had 3 births because some of them were pregnant.
Oh, yes, of course.
14 came out of the truck.
Wow.
And we went a bit pale at that.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
All our finances at the moment seems to be going on hay.
Yeah, I bet it does.
But then all my wonderful students said, Billie, you can't do this on your own anymore. So they're starting to fundraise for us, which is really beautiful.
Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah.
And we started the not-for-profit. We haven't. It's only just sort of coming in. The not-for-profit, which is called the Billie Dean International Deep Peace Organisation, which is really not so much to help the horses because they're in a forever home, and our tax situation here in Australia is that it doesn't cover forever home animals. Yeah. So the students are all doing separate fundraising for that. But the Deep Peace Organisation really is to spread the word through the arts, which I'm involved in, and education through the arts, and also compassionate action to try and get deep peace for all species, which is my catch cry. And so what we want is peace and freedom for them all, and we've been offered some land. So we're trying to fundraise for that, but it comes with 600 sheep and 20 cattle.
Okay.
So we thought, well, if that does eventuate, then what we do is what we'd like to do is to try and encourage the farmers to see a different way of seeing the animals. So that's another arm of what we want to work with. The animals don't have to be their livelihood, or they can be their livelihood in a new way. And I've got a beautiful client who never wanted to kill her cattle. And she had me talking to them all, and they came up with a beautiful solution for her. They said that they didn't want to be, they didn't want to be killed. What they wanted to do was to offer people their beautiful, calm energy. And if you think about a cow, they're just the most placid, beautiful beings. And they have these liquid eyes, and they're just gorgeous. And so they suggested to her that she run a B&B for stressed out executives to have cow medicine.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Just thinking about hanging out with cows, you know how they chew their cud?
Yeah.
And they literally are. They're like the rock of the earth. Their energy is so incredible. That just makes so much wonderful sense.
Doesn't it?
Wow. I love it. Oh, that touches my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And so it really is about, the Deep Peace Organisation is really about educating people about, we are, as you know, in a time of change. We're in a time of social revolution. All the old structures are falling down, and it is up to us to lead the way and start to create a world that we really want.
Yeah.
what the animals are all saying is that they want a world of peace as well, and they want us to be more compassionate, and they want us to be happy.
Yeah, they do.
They want us to open our heart chakras and to walk with our hearts foremost. And they're trying to get this message through to us. And it was interesting you were saying earlier in this interview about how they help people with understanding that death is really a doorway.
Yes.
And that the spirit really is still around, and it's what I found that recently there's been so much death, and they really are leaving in droves to teach us that lesson, and to teach us the lesson of detachment, but to also love hugely, and be able to say goodbye with an open heart, and not sort of drown in grief, which really brings down our vibration, and it's a really hard one for us to get, I think. But I think it's an important one, because if we are drowning in grief, then everything seems to go down. And I think that in this new time, when the frequency is much more refined, then we really do need to make a concerted effort to love in the moment, love every day, live every day as if it's our last or their last, because we just don't know what's around the corner. And we've had here in Australia and some of my people overseas as well, the animals are just disappearing. They're just leaving. And there seems to be such a lot of it. So the message that I'm getting and sharing with people is just love. Open your heart. That's what they want you to do. That's the message, is to not take them for granted, or not take anybody for granted, not take any moment. To just, live bigger than you've ever lived, and take risks, and follow your heart, and find that passion, and, make every day count. Live on the edge, because it's time we did. We can't be complacent anymore.
No.
So it's a huge, big restructuring of how we've been. Before we used to, get a job for 9 to 5 and live like that, and now it's like, well, no, just follow your heart, and what gives you peace and what gives you happiness, and that's going to help your animal live a better life as well, and make sure that you're always giving them tons of love and acknowledgement, and it's good. It's a really good thing.
Yes, and for us animal lovers, our animals are the ones that give us purpose often. And they share their passion and their joy of life with us, and they help us heal, and they help us ground and be present. And what an incredible gift. And we often get so busy that we forget to acknowledge them. And we if they're presenting problems in some way, behavior training or something, it's like we forget to be grateful and express appreciation, and to really truly deeply connect to the heart. So I'm so glad you're being such a brilliant voice for the animals. And it's the truth. They do. They want us to love hugely. They want us to live large, and from an open heart, and to follow our passion and take risks, because otherwise, we're either expanding or we're contracting. There isn't that in between, just static state where we just are existing, kind of. We're either enhancing and enlivening ourselves and getting the most out of the time that we have here, or we're disconnected. We might as well, I don't know. We're just basically dying, So.
Well, that's it, and
message.
It is a good message, and it's a very, very, very urgent one, I think, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are sort of I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but
well, maybe they're not thinking. I don't know.
Maybe they're not. I don't know.
Are they?
I don't know. It's a time now. I mean, I just feel that the world shifted particularly strongly this year,
yes.
and we are seeing, like I said before, the old structures falling down, and it's up to each one of us to make an effort to change the way we've been. We cannot stay in that old groove because it hasn't really been getting us anywhere. No. I mean, the Western world is not a happy one. Everybody's on Prozac.
And our animals too.
It's just like, what?
Oh, God.
Well, not my dogs, anyway.
Not my puppy.
No.
No.
So, yeah, and I think one of the greatest gifts for me, if my work starts to get a bit overwhelming, I pick up my camera and I go outside, and I mean, I had a beautiful gift today. I had, horses. It was rainy here today, and they were all, just full of beans, and I took some beautiful photographs, and then I came back inside and went back to work.
Yeah, I mean, you were totally refreshed, rejuvenated, re-energized. And how many of us drag our butts through the day, without that, and then we're so closed off and so shut down and so stressed that it's like our life is just, it's like our life is spilling through our fingers. It's just like pouring out, like we're a colander or something. It's awful. Anyway, so we can go ahead.
That's that. Yeah, I was going to say that's that life force that's falling out.
It is. Yeah.
It's the force, and what the animals have shared with me is that one of the things that we need to be doing is getting that life force back from both Mother Earth and also the sun.
Yeah.
And the cats particularly are very big on us sitting in the sun and getting that beautiful energy from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to people, even if you're an office worker, you can still go out and sit in the sun at lunchtime, and you don't have to sort of cover up for that short time. I mean, unless it's 100 degrees or something.
Welcome to my world in San Antonio, Texas.
All right.
Yeah. We have a lot of those 100-degree plus days.
Yeah. Well, sit in the shade, but just get outside.
Yeah, it's outside. Connect with nature. Even if it's a plant, if you've got a potted plant in the corner of your house, I mean, if you had to, be with your plant. Oh, my God, there's Absolutely. Life all around us. We just forget to connect. We get lost in our own little drama and trauma world. And anyway, so thanks, Billie. Yeah.
That was one of the key messages in our film, This Sacred Earth, the 2012 phenomenon.
Ooh.
And you quoted exactly one of our Irish shaman friends who said, "Connect with the plant in your living room." Oh, good on you, pal.
I love that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. I learned that lesson one winter. I was bringing plants in off of the deck. I mean, I've always been, connected to the world, and it was so funny. I just have to tell you this really funny story. So I'm out, and I'm slugging away. It's almost midnight, and I just heard that it's going to freeze that night, and I've got plants on the deck. I'm like, oh, crap, so I'm in my pajamas, and I'm freezing, and I'm trying to drag all these plants inside the house so they don't freeze that night, And I went to get one of my trees. I thought it was a ficus tree or something, and I went to pick it up, and you know what? I could not pick the sucker up. And everything I did with it, it was like it was getting worse and worse, and I should have been able to. I mean, I'm not a weakling. I should have been able to pick this plant up, but all of a sudden I heard the tree, and it said, "Wait a minute, where are we going? My roots are here. Why are you moving me?" And I went, "Oh, I totally forgot to tell you." And so I apologized, and I explained to all the plants that, it was going to freeze this night, and that if they would help me bring them inside, outside, that they would, it would save their life because they wouldn't freeze. And then as soon as it was warm again, I would be delighted to bring them back outside. And I went to pick the plant up again, and it was this light. It was so light. It's like I could pick it up. It was cooperating with me. I know that's such a funny story, and people may be rolling their eyes, but it was just so brilliant to recognize that there truly is sentient life all around us in every living thing, and even the so-called inanimate objects of the world. So,
absolutely, and thank you so much for saying that so eloquently. That's really, really beautiful to hear, because it's a message that beautiful politeness to the world,
yes.
That respect to the world is so important today, and
yes.
that's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Thanks.
And I will share it on for you.
Thank you. It's not one I've often told for probably obvious reasons, but no. But I know that you and our audience will understand that, and I hope it inspires us to look at our world a little differently, and like you said, to come with a compassion and a respect for all life. And thanks. So Billie, what's next for you? So what's coming up? What do you got on your plate?
Oh, well, I'm just we're trying to launch we are launching the International Deep Peace Organization on 11/11/11.
Awesome.
I figured that everybody's going to be meditating on peace, so why not meditate on peace for animals as well?
Yeah.
And my sense is that the more people who are meditating on peace, that's what we need to bring in a world of peace because of the resonance factor.
Okay.
And so that's really exciting. So we'll get that going as well.
Yes.
And I've got I'm writing a book on the new shamanism with what all the animals are wanting for their new world.
Excellent.
So that's called The New Shamanism, The Path of Peace.
Excellent.
So that'll be out for Christmas, hopefully.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And then we are going back to doing things like educating through comedy, and we've got other films and things that are coming up. So we've been busy.
Excellent.
And we do have our little film on the Brumbies. And there'll be more of those because that's how they're going to pay their way.
You know what? I like it, and I'm sure they would be delighted also. We may find a new comedians in the Brumbies. We don't know.
Oh, we've got. In fact, we put together a little film. There goes all the dogs. We've got a whole lot of goats as well here.
Oh, goats! So that's fun.
And Andrew and I are working on. We're going to have to pause it just for a second, guys. Come on. I have a whole lot of kelpies.
Kelpies?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gee.
they sound like they're fine now. So you have a video. In fact, you were telling me about this before we started today. It's of the Brumbies, and there's wild horses, and you tell the story of Finn.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing that. It just sounds amazing.
Absolutely, thank you. It's one that does touch people's heart, and I think people will enjoy watching that. And the other one we're working on is one for the Deep Peace movement that we're starting. And my husband found this beautiful. He's a film editor, and he found this beautiful image that he'd shot of. Or one of us had shot of the goats who love to jump.
Oh, I love that.
One of them sitting on the car on the top of the old troopy. I'm vehicle. And the other one's on the feed shed, leaping across, and he slowed it down so that it's this magnificent leap. And one of the little Clover, I think it is just looking at her sister, just a bemused expression on her face. It's just beautiful to see.
I love that. Oh, that's great. That's so great.
So lots of things coming up from Wild Pure Heart, and for the, that's our entertainment arm, and from the Brumbies themselves, and from the dogs, and from the goats. So, and all the stories that they tell. So yeah.
I love that. Speaking of stories that they tell, you have a free ebook called The 10 Secrets That Animals Want You to Know. You want to tell people how to get that?
Yep. If they go to my website on www.billiedean.com, that's with an IE, as you mentioned earlier, thank you, they can just download that when they sign up for my newsletter. And the newsletter is Animal Whispers, and it just, I like to put a couple of articles in, and also some links to interesting other things. So
cool.
Helps you keep up to date with what we're doing here at A Place of Peace as well.
Excellent. So everyone that's listening, if you're listening, go and you're on the website, BillieDean.com, BillieDean.com. Pick up your free book at 10 Secrets the Animals Want You to Know, and get her newsletter, Animal Whispers. It sounds wonderful. I know I have signed up, and it's a brilliant newsletter, so thank you so much. Anything else that we need to know before we close down here for today?
Yes, just I do offer a free service with the Divine Love Healing Circle for animals in need, and I tend to do that on the full moon. I was doing it on the new moon and the full moon, and I'll just see if Spirit wants me to continue to do that. But the next one is on 11/11/11.
Okay.
That's full moon, and I think that's going to be a really good one. So it's just if animals who are in spirit, or animals who might need a little bit of extra oomph.
Okay.
It's I don't send healing. I just
Woohoo! Woohoo! They're surely active at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I think we found a mouse.
Oh, wonderful. Big excitement. Okay. But yeah, so there's the Divine Love Healing Circle for Animals in Need, and you're doing those approximately or on the full moon.
Yeah.
So in case our audience is listening and it's after November the 11th of 2011, you can still participate with that. Just contact Billie and get on her list, get her newsletter so you know what's going on. So that works great.
Yes, and it's just there is a link called the Healing Circle, I think. So it's just something I like to offer.
Okay.
And the other thing that I wanted to let people know is that we are starting a new shamanism course.
Okay.
And if people want to come along for the ride, then we're doing level 1, which is starting up in November.
Okay.
And they can join us, and I like to tell people that in level 1 we get you hanging out with gnomes.
Oh, how wonderful. That's great. Oh, well, Billie, it sounds wonderful. So our time is pretty up at the moment, but I am so delighted to talk to you today. I've had such a good time getting a wonderful peek into the Australian world that you're created. And thank you again for everything you're doing, especially for being the voice for our animals.
Well, thank you, Val, and I can say all the same to you. It's wonderful that I have a sister in the States
Yes.
who is doing such beautiful work, and I love getting your newsletters.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And all the work that you're doing is just amazing, and I so appreciate it. And it's, the world needs more of both of us.
Yes, yes. And so if you're listening to this and want to be one of our clones, connect with us. And I hope we've inspired and entertained and delighted you to reconnect to the world around you. So thanks. All right, my dear. So, Billie, have a great and wonderful day. You're probably going to go back to bed, which I think I would if I were you. Oh, and thank you again for your wonderful time. So everyone listening, again, Billie Dean's websites are billiedean.com and also wildpureheart.com. Thanks, Billie.
Thank you so much, Val. It's been such an honor.
I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for listening to the show. For more information or to listen to other podcasts, go to valhart.com/blog. And if you're someone who values a non-invasive, holistic solution to resolving problems with your dogs, cats, and horses, and you want better behaved, healthier, and happier animals, just go to my website at valhart.com to apply for a complimentary Happy Animal Assessment session. And be sure and remember to look for my CDs on iTunes. Learning how to talk with animals is fun and will change your life. So while you're there at my site, get my free Quick Start Animal Talk course and check out the world's first complete Animal Communication Made Easy system. May the love of animals bless you, teach you, inspire you, heal you, and reconnect you to the circle of life.